What went wrong with Christmas 2025? Or to quote Matt McMuscle, what happened? The show will retell you what happened on Christmas 2025 slash was it worth it. Now, I originally had this intro, but I've had it out and I got a bit scared and anxious. So I had to redo the intro. But yes, so if you're wondering, and I can't really mention it, but if you're wondering about Zoe's friend that was revealed in Christmas Eve's episode, friend in quotations, it begins with an S and ends with an O. You can't say it yet, but we will do a separate video on that, detailing like the build up and was that worth it as well. So keep a separate video. But this is mainly focusing on the two-parter that we had on the 25th of December, Christmas Day, 2025. Now, very quickly, I will just do a mini like recap for people if you do not mind. Ash, do you mind? Uh,
I just want to kind of let's just. I mean, I just want to talk briefly about how Christmas 2025 EastEnders was a letdown. Let's just say that first and foremost. It was a swing and miss, and there are a host of many different reasons as to why it failed. There are countless reasons why. There are choices. There are storylines that probably didn't deserve to be Christmas headliners that became Christmas headliners. There are characters who have been back for 2 seconds and have gotten the starring role. So there were many, many issues with this Christmas, and yeah, it's going to be quite cathartic to actually run through a lot of them.
but very quickly and just to say what happened on Christmas Eve, and I'll just leave this very briefly. Check out the other video that has either came out or is coming out shortly on Zoe's stalker. I can say stalker now. But on Christmas Eve, it was revealed that long-time soap film bitch Chrissy was, not my words, the words of half the YouTube community and half the words of follower Twitter. But Chrissy Watts is back and was revealed to be the stalker, but again, we'll detail on the video. So in Thursday's episode, I had to remember what day it was. In Thursday's episode, the build up is basically the entire premise of this episode is like Zoe's like secret is like Anthony lying is revealed, and she finally meets her daughter that she had no idea existed. And throughout part one, Anthony is just an incel, as Ash put it. He's an incel, and then basically he like starts giving out to his wife or his ex-wife, the one who has a restraining order on him, and then basically tells Chelsea he's gonna find the kids. And obviously, that might sound wrong, but like the kids that he had with Zoe, if he had them with Zoe, and then Chelsea's like, okay, fuck this. She goes upstairs, and then you have this moment where Kat does, where I've described it like when your dad is like divorcing your mom, or your mom's divorcing your dad, and then your dad has to sit you down, going, "Look, champ, we're moving on to a different chapter in our life now, champ. You got this." And she basically says, "Listen, champ,
Don't, don't know why it's Doctor Disrespect.
listen, champ, your kids are dead. Get a life." Well, but that's
Don't make the
basically
joke.
yeah, and that's basically what she says. It's just like, listen, champ, kids are dead. Sorry to let you know, it's Christmas and everything. And then Chelsea comes in and goes, no, your kids are not dead. They're actually alive. They're actually doing pretty well. That they're alive. And then so he's like, who do I believe? And then he's like, no, but your kids are alive. Anthony was lying to you. Anthony was trying to lie to you and trying to find the kids for you. He got some evidence found by hanging. Well, she didn't say how he got the evidence, but he got some evidence. And then and
Oh, she
then
did say he blackmailed someone.
yeah, and then continuing on, Kat goes down the stairs and basically yells at Anthony that he's the stalker, and basically he's like, "Fuck off, Anthony." So Anthony leaves, uh, and I'm only gonna run through the Zoe stuff, but he returns. Oh, excuse me, he returns later in the episode, um, and he goes upstairs to Zoe and he says, "I want to see my kids," and Zoe neither confirms or denies that he's the father, and she basically says, "No, they're my kids. You're not seeing them. Like none of you know who your kids are yet. Like, what are you gonna do? Just like take on an apple and orange and say, look, these are my kids. Like you don't know who your kids are yet." And they have a fight. And when I say that,
It's hardly like they can take. It's hardly like they can take one of Anthony's hairs and do a DNA test. There we are.
um, but like, and when we say it's the most campiest fight, it's up there with Kojo falling or falling off the railing or jumping off the railing, depending on who you ask. Um, it's up there with that because Zoe basically, it's like that scene on a scary movie. I think a scary movie, that karate scene where they make fun of the Matrix, because she literally just goes, eh, shoves his head against the wall, and then he goes, eh, and whacks her head against the banister. And then obviously, since he's a bit stronger, when he whacks her head against the banister, she gets knocked out. And and this is where part one ends because Kat comes up the stairs and goes, Zoe, what have you done? He's dead. Ah.
And we have to say, this was one of the shittest soap fights I've seen in a long time. This one blew. This one, there's no real defending this one. It was just outright bad. Because we're supposed to believe that Anthony slightly smashing the back of his head on a door frame is what kills him.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what we have to believe. I don't know about that one, Chief. I don't know about that one, Chief. And then Anthony is just a corpse essentially for the rest of the episode. We don't even really see it beyond a certain point. And that's all to set up the part two, where part two is the coming together of Jasmine and Zoe and Chrissy Watts making her final, likely final appearance, when as if she's ever coming back.
And yeah, I'll quickly run through it. So he goes downstairs. There's Kat and Zoe. Now they've after killed. They've after what they know is they've killed Anthony. Well, Zoe's killed Anthony. But what Chrissy knows is that she is also responsible for the murder of Jen Ross. She does not know that Anthony is upstairs laying on the ground having a little nap after having too much turkey and enough rum to fill the Sahara
Also,
Desert.
I've seen the behind the scenes thumbnail genuinely has Anthony like laying with a pillow, just like just which is ridiculous.
There's a funny tweet I want to send you afterwards, by the way. I'm going to send you after. But I was just sent that tweet like a 3 in the morning. I couldn't stop laughing. I'll send it to you later on. But yeah, basically they. So yeah, Chrissy thinks obviously that she's gonna pay for the killing of Jen Watt, and Anthony is going to. What's the word I'm looking for? Basically, they don't know that Anthony is upstairs either. And so we find out that Chrissy is the stalker. She tells Zoe that
I suppose
she's
we
the.
didn't actually. Hold up, we didn't actually talk about. We didn't really talk about the aftermath part one. We didn't really talk about how we thought about part one, as like
Oh,
this is
sorry.
the Christmas review in a sense. We didn't actually talk about part one. So,
Uh,
what did we think? What did you think about part one?
I think it's because I describe this as nostalgic center in a sense
Yeah,
where I feel how many people felt about rewatching Spider-Man No Way Home. There's the talk of Spider-Man ref,
yeah,
where
Spider-Man
obviously
reference.
yeah, where like obviously they rely on the past because that's the entire premise of the movie. All the Spider-Man villains in one universe and beat up
I
Peter
mean, in
Parker.
that movie, genuinely, the worst point is the Tom Holland stuff. So shows how
And
much they were relying on the past.
but it's the same in this sense because they rely so much on you knowing history between Anthony and Zoe and then eventually Christy Watts. And it's just like you're relying too much on the fans to know. And the problem is I'm supposed to believe that Anthony Truman somehow died by hitting his head on the door. Like it wasn't even a good hit, he just lightly, gently banged his head against the wall. Like I've done worse to my head by hitting it off a wall. I'm still alive. I still have a bit
To
of.
be fair, I basically did do something like that, but I did give myself a concussion. So, so maybe I'm not the poster boy to argue against it.
But I did not like this Christmas episode. It was shit. The only redeeming bit, and I've mentioned it multiple times at this point, the only redeeming bit of this Christmas episode is Max generally doing the elevator to Cindy, and that was it. And one of her comments by, I believe their name is Leanne, basically said Max is getting a bike on Christmas. Um, Belter.
It's a good line.
Even my dad, I told my
Good,
dad
good in
this,
the moment. Sounds a bit rough in the aftermath.
yeah, but told my dad that joke, he couldn't stop laughing. Uh, and just said they're a dirty boy for that.
Or
Yeah,
girl.
a dirty girl, sorry. But yeah, what do you think of this trip?
Um, episode one is quite boring. It's quite underwhelming for a Christmas episode. It's a weird thing with the Christmas episodes, right? Because if the if you just dropped it at 7, I probably wouldn't have as many problems. But the fact it's one of the only episodes you've actually kept back, that therefore you sit down after a long day, after a busy old Christmas, and then you go, oh yeah, but now you have to watch an hour of EastEnders, but not in one, but in two parts, like an hour and a half in between each other. So that always for me, always, and especially if it's a bad Christmas, it always kind of starts to kill my enjoyment because I know I've got to wait and, stop all your fucking plans. Yeah, sure, I could be doing stuff in between, but we ended up streaming, so But fundamentally, it will always hamper the experience if you have to go. Yeah, you usually just watch it at like 12 midday and do a video then, and then get to fuck off for the rest of the day. But this to me felt like another bog standard episode of EastEnders. It didn't really feel like a Christmas episode. Yeah, sure, there was some dumb little side plot where, people are making the Christmas dinner, they're all in the Vic, everybody's happy. It's like, oh, but you're going to have to eat your dinner somewhere else. Oh, no. That's obviously part one and part two. The Max and Cindy stuff. Well, I say that the Max and Jack interaction was really good because obviously Max is reeling from the fact that he only realized yesterday that the whole family knew that Annie was his and they didn't tell him, which he blames them for. I don't know why that wasn't revealed on Christmas Day around the table. Have I not made it 10 times better? Like, I
And
honestly think it would have made it so much better had it be revealed at the table.
and then you have obviously what was revealed today, chocolate steak.
Yeah, so a fun little punch up, which makes the other punch up look fucking like kindergarten. Um, and then yeah, Max and Cindy, bit of weird Santa role play, but it is Max and Cindy. They are just fucking little horny rats at the end of the day. So that stuff I enjoyed, but and the Anthony Truman in front of everybody in the Vic, Patrick says he wishes he was dead, and then boom, Anthony possibly dies. We don't obviously we haven't watched Boxing Day yet, so we don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Part one was interesting enough. I still think this Christmas is operating on you have to know so much other stuff that's happened. I don't think it's the most like casual viewer friendly of an episode because you go part one, you need to know that Anthony's back and he's now a woman hater. You need to know that Zoe's been getting stalked and she has twins that she's not seen, who she thinks was dead. You have to know that. Then for part two, you have to know who Chrissy Watts, Sam, and Zoe and why they're all connected. Like, there's a lot of information you don't get just by watching the episode that you have to fill in the gaps. And I think it lends to quite. I think this will be a really boring rewatch, personally. Like, I don't know. I got problems with it. I don't. It's not the worst Christmas episode that's ever been made. 2018 still exists. No, I don't. I don't know what my least favorite Christmas episode is, but just check either of the rankings. It's probably the worst one up there. 2011, 2012. But yeah, so part one fucking sucks in my opinion, and I think they really they tried to make it grand, but it just fell flat on its ass. And I think that's just because most of the people leading this Christmas have only been back on our screens for a split second. Zoe's been back a couple months. Jasmine's a newcomer. Anthony's been back a couple months, but he's camp and ridiculous. Max has been back like a week. and like these are your characters who are leading the storylines. But equally, under this new direction, we've not we've not they've not given us the room. All these characters are on like what am I trying to say? They they want us to like these characters based on what they did before. And so they've not actually earned the respect or the tolerance from the fandom because they've just been went, you will like this. It's like, yeah, but we don't. Yeah, but you will like Zoe. She's really tragic, isn't she? She's really fucking tragic. You like tragic characters, don't you? Well, you like Zoe. No. Ah, Jasmine. She's been doing a bunch of weird stuff, but she has been stalking Cindy. But you will like Jasmine because they're, mum and daughter united at last. No. Anthony, woman hater, basically an incel at this point. You will. I mean, I do dislike Anthony, so that's one that works. But I think it's just you put these characters, and also you take. Don't know why it's turning into like anti-immigrant rhetoric. You've taken characters who were starring leading characters, and you strip them away from the leading role to have your new characters. You're playing with your new toys. It's like Christmas Day. You chuck all the old toys under the bed. Oh, my new toys are so good. It's like, yeah, but what about the old toys? We like the old toys. No, no, but these new toys, you're gonna love them. It's like, well, yeah, but I still like the old ones. Can I have them? No. All right. It's cheers.
But I will now go through Christmas Part 2, if you don't mind. Um,
You go ahead.
so basically, again, this episode relies on you knowing 2005, and I will say this has sparked debate in our comment section. And by sparked debate, one guy is very like excited that this did happen. I did read out his or her comment or their comment on a live stream on the live stream yesterday. I'm not gonna reread it; it's a long one. But they were excited for this moment because it happened 20 years. Um, but with him being him, her, or they being the only fight, and the dog in our comment section is is very worrying. Because
Yeah, typically there's a whole lot more. To me, there's a whole lot more like other stuff that you can kind of get behind at the end of the day. Like, typically with most EastEnders stuff, there'll be a whole lot more people. It's a whole lot more diverse a fandom. A lot of people will love it. A lot of people dislike it. But fundamentally, and yeah, sure, it may just be online and in a bit of an echo chamber. I've only seen very few positive things said about this, and a lot of it is kind of going into the more like watching it in a kind of hate watchy type way. Whereas like yeah, people like Anthony because he's really camp, but like that doesn't mean he's good. It just means really camp. So that doesn't mean it's like, and obviously, soap camp is different than normal. Like, it's not, if you don't know the word camp, it's not like it's not like he's flamboyant or anything. It's just he's a little bit extra. But obviously, it's not used in the same context in soap as it is typically. So, yes. In case there are any daggers drawn. Um, and we're all pretty camp here, anyways. Piggy's wearing a bright green t-shirt. There we are. Look at that. But I think that I don't know. It's just a fumble. I've kind of lost my point. I got distracted by looking at your shirt. What were you talking about?
Christmas Part 2, yeah, looking like Papa shirt, yeah. But Part 2, right, so Kat and Zoe go down the stairs, and then everyone's out of the Vic because the electricity, the electric is gone. They didn't pay the bill. Fucking idiot! You should have paid the bill. I know it's power cut, but it's just funny imagining Kat and Alfie building up this Christmas day. I was like, everyone's gonna have a dinner in the Vic, and they forgot to pay the electric bill. Like, I don't know why that's funny to me. It's just like, oh, you're gonna love this Christmas
I don't
day.
know what. I don't know. I mean, the lights went off to kind of ramp up the tension, but
Yeah, yeah, no, but it's just funny imagining like Alfie and Kat like in universe being like, guys, you're gonna love this Christmas day. We're gonna have dinner in the Vic. The footy's gonna be on. Oh, the football is on, but like something's gonna be on. You're gonna love this. Kat, have we paid the ESB unit? Have we paid electricity? I thought you did, Alfie. Yeah. I don't know, but yeah. So Everyone is ushered out of the Vic, and Grimpy and a few others are going to do home deliveries. They're going to go around to each house and give them Christmas eggs. Because so we got on, and Alfie, by the way, he's not in this episode. He's barely in it. Just in case people are wondering where is Alfie, he's in another part of the town. He's in Jean's house. Um, so yeah, we go down, and then Zoe goes, "It's you, isn't it?" And then Chris is like, "Long time no see, love." And she basically like just goes, "Yeah, it's me, yeah." And then she sees Jasmine, and says, "You're my daughter." And then I thought, because Ben Whaley loves playing with his toys and loves nostalgia baiting, I thought we were going to go, "You're my daughter, aren't you?" "Yes, I am." But she just goes, "You're not my mother." No, no, not you're not my mother. She just says,
Yeah, it's just like you're just the woman who like you're just a woman who gave birth to me essentially. It was a really like you obviously you don't do the whole line because that would be a bit too wanky and a bit too meta. You at least do something with it. You at least add a little twist to it. You don't just go, "Oh, should we do the line now?" Nah, why not? It's Zoe's most iconic thing she's ever done. You add some twist on it for fuck's sake. At least do something. I don't like they said you don't do the whole line. I don't know what you'd say alternatively, but you don't just go, "Ah, you're just a woman who got pregnant." Blah, blah." Just shit. Like this is this is the big moment. This is the big moment. Zoe's finally figured out that she is a daughter. She's not dead, and it's unveiled that they don't know where the son is. They don't know where the son is. They don't know who he is. They don't know where he's at. They were split up seemingly. So yeah, so it's supposed to be the big moment, but it's not because they fumble it completely.
"Yeah," and then also Cash phones Phil to like come over and get rid of the body. Because if you need to bury someone, I know Phil's like 60 now, but if you need to bury someone, Phil Mitchell is your man. Um, or to hide a
Obviously,
body.
Triple H is the other number on speed dial.
Uh,
Wrestling.
but yeah, so that threw me off completely. Um, but yeah,
So Sam notices that why would Kat be ringing Phil
Phil.
at Christmas? She's seen Chrissy already, so it only makes sense that she would be going to the Vic to like take vengeance on Zoe. Um, and this is the big reveal, right? It's the big dramatic reveal, and Chrissy and Zoe and Sam are all in the same spot, and they have this reunion. But the strangest bit for me is the fact that why the fuck is Kat there? Why is Kat there? It wasn't Zoe, Chrissy, Sam, and Kat. Why is she there? Obviously, you made the kind of point where it's like, yeah, well, Zoe can't speak for herself. She's a 40-year-old woman. why why does she need her mum there?
Need someone to
What's the
hold her hand.
point?
Need someone to hold
It's
her hand.
like going on. It's like going on a date, but bringing your friend along. Like, oh, fuck, it's my date. What the fuck are you doing here? Like,
No,
you
you
don't even ask them; they just show up.
bring a parent, you know.
You're like, what? What? Why is Cat there? I don't understand.
But it gets even worse because
This is the 20-year reunion of them coming together. Why the fuck's Cat involved? She doesn't need to be there. She doesn't need to be there at all.
and this gets even worse because Jasmine's like, at least Chrissy brings me the school. At least she takes me out for ice cream. She brings me the
At
Prince
least she
Charles.
tucks me in.
Yeah, at least she brings me the Prince Charles cinema. I've seen. I was trying to think of a movie that Prince Charles would probably air. I've seen Brokeback Mountain 20 times in Prince Charles cinema, and you never once told me, "Fuck you." And then it sounds like, "Yeah, but she's an evil cow." And it's like, "Oh, all right. Yeah, you're an evil cow, Chrissy. Fuck you." Yeah. And then that is basically
I
what
mean,
happens.
you can at least get it as well because they present the whole point is like why essentially it's unraveled that yeah Chrissy is selfish and even if she was implicated in doing this, she kind of just goes well I mean I didn't actually do any of it anyway, so fuck you. See ya, Jasmine. So essentially, they quit. It. I get it in a sense where they do essentially drop it out of nowhere, where it's basically Zoe, the woman she hates, who is a mum, Sam and Kat, two people she doesn't know, basically goes, yeah, she's evil. And it does take for Chrissy to essentially throw Jasmine under the bus for her to actually accept it. But still, it feels a little bit kind of, oh no, but you wouldn't do that because she is evil. Yeah, she's evil. Yeah, she's really evil. Oh, she might be evil. Like, but you don't know these women though. They could just be lying to you. But that's fine, I guess. That's fine. And that's the end of Chrissy in these scenes. Really, she goes, "Oh, Jasmine, let's spend some time together." And Jasmine says, "No, I don't want to be with you. Blah, blah, blah. You're selfish." And it's like, oh, and they've also like ruined Jake and Chrissy's exit that they had last year that was set up.
Ooh.
So the final standoff between Zoe, Chrissy, and Sam and Kat for some fucking reason was pretty rough. And this while Zoe and Kat kind of take the thing. Zoe's feeling a bit reflective about how everything happened and how, it all went wrong, but she's got to be different this time. So she calls the police over Anthony and then goes and sits with Jasmine. And despite Jasmine hating Zoe about 5 minutes ago, they then have the like, oh, well, it's not all that bad, is it? We can be a family this time, but not now because I have to do this. And so she's handing herself into the police as Jasmine looks a little sheepish, hiding behind a bush. And as Piggy's dad suggested, she did throw the scarf away. So is there a chance that Anthony's probably dead, but was it more of a whodunit like situation in a way where it could have been someone else? There were a lot of people in the Vic at that time. Could someone have crept up and dusted him off? I don't know.
The
So the final ending of this Christmas, this part two, is Zoe handing herself into the police for Anthony's murder.
And we don't know if Anthony is murdered. We have not watched Boxing Doomsday episode, so we do not know yet. But we will find out shortly, and when this video is up, probably. But now, oh fuck me, I fucking hate Christmas. So hate it. Do you know what I was gonna say? What I'm trying
He's
to.
fully throwing himself off. Fucking hell.
Do you remember like that meme that was going around the wrestling community like 5 years? Probably not. But where it was like Edge versus Roman Reigns, and then it was like and Daniel Bryan. So people went back and just put like, oh, this match and Daniel Bryan. That's fucking
Hmm.
that's basically like Sam, Chrissy, Zoe, and Kat. Just I want people from the takeaway from this video, please insert Kat in just the random scenes from EastEnders or from.
And like, it's the weird thing as well because it's not like I think Zoe's honestly been really hard done by this current direction because she's been so fucking one note. It's unreal. She's not had any chance to like be a nuanced character. Because any time they actually add some layers and some depth to the character, they go, "Yeah, but remember the stalking?" It's like, well, "Fuck yeah, but fuck, you mentioned it the last 2 days ago." Fucking because there's the bits where Zoe is actually being a Slater, her trying to hook Freddy up with Anna again. Those stuff are charming and fun. But we don't get that because they feel the need to constantly push the stalker stuff in front of everything else. So therefore, the audience doesn't care about Zoe. And if you do care about Zoe, it's probably because you liked her from 20 years ago. So she just becomes so one note and one dimensional. So I kind of get why they put Kat there because at least Kat's more nuanced as a character. But fucking Zoe just gets to basically act like a fucking child. And that's it. That's it, really. Like she's had one introspective moment the entire time she's been back, and she realized maybe she should actually not run away from more trauma and tragedy. But
Yeah,
like, why the fuck's Cat there? Fundamentally, why is she there? and she basically just defends Zoe. Zoe can defend herself, man. She's fucking 40. I don't know how old she is. I'm just gonna argue that is, but she's she's not 20 years old anymore. She's
And
grown 20 years since she's been on the screen. She's still the same person.
I have a banger tweet by the way that I really want to watch more quick, where the obviously you remember the very first scene in EastEnders where obviously Jen was to the door. I just want someone to take a
Mm.
screen grab of that and then Photoshop that in. Going clearly people don't remember the very first episode and just put that just as a joke. But like yeah, why is why is cat dead? It's just like it just, it just doesn't make sense. But it is funny it's funny to look
Like
back on.
you've built the whole star power as the reunion. She wasn't fucking there, was she? Why is she here? Like, yeah, she did add to the scene. I'm not saying she was bad. She was probably the best fucking bit about it. But why is she here? She wasn't involved.
I, uh,
Make it make sense, please.
I don't know.
Make it make fucking sense. Why is she here? Zoe's not 10 years old.
Just
It's
need
not
some
bring your daughter to work day.
need to hold her hand.
It's fucking Christmas. Can't wait for all of Zoe's storyline. Like, yeah, sure. Look, Kat's always going to be involved in Zoe's stuff. That's fine. But not the fucking big reunion that she wasn't involved in the first place. If I show up to somebody else's high school reunion, it's like, who the fuck are you? I'm just their mate. Yeah, but why are you here then? Fuck's sake. That's all.
Yeah, I love how this completely tilted. I fucking love. Um,
That's
clearly you don't remember the famous Denmark
why
burial
is
ground
she here?
where the cat was there. Um, but but my review of part two is I've said this in the live stream that
Remember
we
when JFK was in that famous car? Cat was there. Why?
of course he means when JFK and Kelowna High did the nothing bad ever happened to the Kennedys and then fell over. He doesn't mean the actual JFK. Okay, guys, just a crack. He was Lee Harvey Oswald. But continuing on, just just to say this, my review of Christmas and Cat, the dog shit, absolute dog shit. Usually, and I've mentioned this in the live stream, that when I'm looking at these premises and I have to review them a year later, if you don't know what we do tend to do, and we will continue to do this tradition as long as we are doing what's in Walford, is we basically do 10 Christmases and then do a modern one and include the modern one, but we don't include it in the review because obviously it wouldn't make sense. So with 2023, when I was watching it with you, I was like, if we're reviewing this next year, I think it's gonna look back on fondly. 2024, I had the same mindset where I was like, when I look back on this a year later, I might enjoy it because it's Cindy being whacked over the head with a shovel, but it's also her telling her entire family to go fuck themselves. But when I'm looking at this, I'm going, how am I in a year's time going to put a spin on this to actually make it interesting in the reactions and in the review of how am I going to make it interesting a year on when we do get to the end of 2026? Because I generally do not know how I can make it interesting because this requires you to know a lot of knowledge and a lot of things about characters. Where if you're a casual viewer, you wouldn't know this stuff, or you would, but you just probably hadn't paid attention, and that's where it falls flat for me, because you have this reunion between three women, three icons, people would say, icons of the square, between Kim Metcalf, Michelle Ryan, and Tracy-Ann Alderman, or whatever her last name is, and it's nice, but the same problem is it's just how easy Jasmine is convinced that Chrissy is evil. Like the
I
ent-
mean, I'm not against that. That bit I feel is fairly justified in my opinion.
no, it's just how simple she turns. It's just like, oh, she's evil.
Yeah, but look, she's been led astray. She clearly doesn't trust many people. So fundamentally, I'm not too upset about her suddenly going, oh, maybe she's actually bad because she did go to prison for murder. You know, there. I think that's fine. That's established for me. Yeah, sure, it did feel a bit wanky. Where it's like, no, but she's not actually all bad. It's like, yeah, but fucking, like just remember that Sam and Zoe aren't actually friends on screen. Like they aren't actually. Like, yeah, sure, they're friends in real life. Not really friends on screen. They've only shared about 2 scenes together, but they still have love for each other for reasons. Um, I think this episode. I don't. It's definitely. It's not the worst Christmas of all time. I don't really know what I'd give that to at this point in time. Give it like 2 years, I'll have a proper answer for you. But I don't think it's the worst Christmas of all time. I know people have been making that. I think it's a really, really boring Christmas. It's definitely top five worst. But fundamentally, I just I understand the pitch. If you're pitching this in the writers' room, you go, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have a reunion. The Witches of Walford, 20 years after Den Watts, Sam, Chrissy, and Zoe." But I also think it's just hamstrung by the fact Sam's been back for all of 2 weeks. Chrissy's been back for all of 2 minutes. And Zoe's been back for about what, 3, 4 months
Yeah.
ish. Like but I get it if you have these three characters all kind of they're all there, but they're not in each other's orbit. So and then you have them all kind of missing each other for a while, and then boom, on Christmas Day they come together. We see this big revenge plan. Like if we don't even need that bit. Just give us like little bits of Chrissy Watts throughout the build to this, so we actually feel like we're building to this big moment. But you built to this big moment, and she's there for a fly-in visit, which is fine because honestly, I don't think the EastEnders world really wants Chrissy Watts back for more than 5 minutes. I'm fine with that. I don't want to see her. She's got too much baggage as an actress and is too fucking outspoken and just seems like a pretty alleged nasty person. And Sam's been back for all of 2 minutes. Her focus has been the fact that she's been diagnosed with breast cancer. She has interacted with Zoe approximately what, twice, 3 times, maybe.
Yeah.
And this is the crux of your Christmas. And Anthony as well. Anthony fucking Truman. One, I honestly is my least favorite character of the year. He has gone from a good boy who is now a fucking woman hating, not maybe not incel, but it's definitely close. And he is possibly dead. He's possibly dead on the Queen Vic floor at Christmas with a flash forward set to do. I just, what, like, I'm trying to understand the vision. And, but it just feels like they're just delaying the inevitable. Oh, but finally, the stalking stuff is over. So now Jasmine and Zoe can work together and become family again. And delayed. Okay, great. So I don't like this episode. I don't think it's as bad as some of my least favorites. Like, I mean, what basically started this channel was Christmas 2022. That's what basically started this channel. I was pissed off. Piggy was pissed off. We went, let's talk about it. And obviously the channel started. And obviously I made the joke to my brother who also hates this fucking episode. And I went, look, mate, in about 7 days, start a channel, you know. The rest is history. The rest is history. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just chronically disappointed in this Christmas, and it's another swing and a miss in Ben Wadey's era of the show. And now it feels like we're resorting to really unremarkable gimmicks in order to keep people interested.
Yep.
When all you need to do is just write a good couple of weeks and then people will be back on side, but you can't fucking do that because you're incapable. So this Christmas is pretty rough. Not seen much positive about it. And I think the concept was pretty weak. I think the time to do it had run out. And yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of, I mean, it's the whole point of a reunion, right? Where, yeah, sure, you do it. If you do it 10 years on, that's fine because yeah, hey, people have all fun jobs, they have families, they have kids. That's interesting. But 20 years on is just a bit too sad, you know? Here's John. He's an alcoholic. Oh, fucking hell. All right, sound. Oh, yeah. Oh, Billy's dead. Yeah, he died from an overdose. Fucking hell. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, who's this guy? Oh, yeah. He lost his kids in a car accident. Fucking hell. All right. It's kind of just. And if we take it, we look at Sam, who hasn't progressed as a character since 2007, since she had Ricky. She's not progressed as a character since then. Zoe has not really progressed as a character since 2005, but or six, but she has more trauma now. And Chrissy has. She did initially make peace since her exit in 2006 in her stint last year or the year before when she saw Sharon in prison, but now she's undone all of that progress to try and get revenge again. So I don't think the juice was worth a squeeze. I think the baggage was too much. I think the time to do it was way earlier. And look, it's not life or death. Most executive producers have a bad Christmas, but we've been wanting the show to get better for a solid 6 months now. And I've been saying, let's wait for the next moment. You fumble the Christmas, lads. Like fucking I don't know how much more people are actually willing to take before they actually go, fuck this, I don't care. And obviously we'll continue doing this because I mean, why not? We've built it up, we may as well continue doing it like. But yeah, it's just I'd say fumbling. It's probably one of my least favorite Christmases ever. It's definitely not the worst, but it's definitely one of my least favorite.
And just to echo home the point that I don't know how you want me to feel this Christmas. So obviously you want the nostalgia aspect, and I basically have compared it to when Hollywood made the second Dumb and Dumber movie, where it didn't take place 5 years after the first, didn't take place 10 years after the first movie. Maybe it might have been 15, it might have been 20 years after the first movie, a double, which is like fun when it was 20 years ago, but when it's 20 years on, it's not as fun. It's like I've described it as a legacy sequel, which legacy sequels can be good. Again, not Top Gun, Naked Gun, the reboot, was pretty good. That's a good legacy sequel. I know it's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
a
all right.
legacy. What
Not
you say?
great, but it's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all right. It's not great, but it's all right.
yeah, like it works well in trying to like make it a spoof movie and everything.
It does enough to not tilt
Yeah,
everyone off the face of the earth.
yeah. And that's basically like what I was like trying to say. It's just like you want the appeal of Zoe, like Chrissy and Sam, but the problem is do the fans want it? Because pretty much, and I don't want to make this with Jamie Borwick, but how the general fans feel is, oh, you fired someone for an ableist slur, but you've brought in someone who's possibly, and I cannot say possibly, slash alleged to be a racist, a homophobe, a transphobe, and
Transphobe.
possibly nearly got an actress of color, I think color,
Yeah,
fired.
yeah.
In if you don't know, allegedly, and again I've just put allegedly in case you just tried to sue us. We did say allegedly. We don't know if it's true. From what we know, he tried to get Suki Panasoff fired. The actress who plays her, and if
And I'm pretty
obviously,
sure it's all just implied about the conflict in the old Middle East. So,
yeah, yeah.
which that's everybody's got their own opinions on it. It's not really something to get someone fired about.
But so yeah, that's where I like,
I mean, of course, unless you say some absolutely horrific shit, of course.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
But the entire point that fans feel is you again fired someone for an ableist slur, but you brought in someone who arguably again we don't know what Jimmy Borwick has done as well. From what we know is that, and from like a standpoint of like just blending real life into fiction, it's like very hard to kind of look past what like Chrissy Watts has said in real life, like Tracy Anna has said in real life.
and equally, I think just sorry to interrupt again, but I mean, And I think that this is kind of it's a bad sign for the Ben Wadey era in a sense because it goes, I'm gonna overlook all of the shit that obviously Tracy Ann Oberman does and says allegedly, blah blah blah. I'm gonna overlook it all, and I'm gonna make it a part of the big Christmas.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, but the audience doesn't want that though. We don't want you to do that. Like, yeah, sure, some people will kind of not think about, separate the art from the artist, sure, but like fundamentally, there's it. I think it's choosing what you think is a cool idea over the audience. Yeah, sure, I don't want the audience to have all to say because fuck the audience, we're all idiots. But not our lovely fans. They're all smart and have brains. But most of the audience is pretty dumb, and we should just be the people reacting to what's shown on screens. But to think that instead of actually having it be a bunch of your main characters, you bring back a very polarizing person, put a front and center at Christmas, and try to act like it's a really big deal, despite happening 20 years on. And that kind of fuck you attitude that Ben Wadey seemingly taken in having her back for the Christmas. Yeah, sure, it's good in theory, but in practice, it didn't really function the way you wanted it to, and it didn't really make for the iconic moment because each time you had the chance to have the iconic moment, you fucked it. So, yeah, it's just,
and
it's, I
and
think it's a bad sign personally.
and like again, I don't think a big sentiment because obviously we're talking big characters, real life people. What they do in the real life has nothing to do with us. Um, but again, if you are bringing someone back who has a lot of baggage in real life, uh, it's kind of a bit bad. But again, see, we're talking about characters in a show, not the actors and actresses. But on saying that, he also undid what Glenshaw did, where Jack Moon had a happy ending with Christy Watts last year because they go, yeah, we're on a break now. Yeah, but all you had to say was, sorry, I'm away on a business trip in Hawaii. I'm just like sorting out businesses. You don't have to have Jack Moon show up. You just have him in a in-universe explanation, basically saying, sorry, I can't make
Just,
the holiday. But like,
just have her ring him and say, love you, done.
yeah.
You
Uh,
continue the story. It was a moment of madness. Blah.
but it's also I don't know really how to feel properly about this Chris. I want to enjoy it, I do, but I fundamentally can't enjoy it. I just I just it's just like it's basically going into a house and then immediately demolishing a wall. That like you slowly destroy the house instead of like you immediately destroy the house, I should say, instead of slowly taking it down and like changing things. Because he's immediately came in when Zoe, yes, but you have to build to the. Because to me, also the problem I have with this Christmas as a crux of is the fact that it hasn't been built to properly because Zoe has been back 4 months. Yes, she had a stalker, but to me, if you're doing this, you spend a year, not a year doing the stalker, obviously, but you do a year of Zoe back, and you make us fall for her and actually get intrigued in what she does. Like maybe, yeah, you don't do the son and daughter stuff yet, but you kind of do that stuff where you just bring her back and then you slowly show more and more to her side to where you build up the next Christmas. And then I know it would have been 20 years, 21 years on, but you slowly then have that interaction. And that's where I feel like the crux of the problem for me comes across is Zoe, yes, she's established because she was a old character who returned, but she's also not established because for modern fans, they've just seen her come in and basically take first place without earning it in a lot of people's eyes. And I feel like that's where the problem lies with the fan base. So again, I did check the comments on Instagram. I do like check the comments sometimes. I shouldn't have checked the Chrissy Watt comment on the Christmas Eve episode. That was a mistake. And if you want to know a brief of what happened, basically half the audience was, "Fuck Chrissy Watts, she's a bitch," and half the audience was like, "You're a sheep, grow up, you little bitch." And it was just like, "You're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong," and yeah, and then I went, "Yeah, this was a bad move, wasn't it?" And yeah, the fans. is divisive on this because some people do want to see more Chrissy and some people don't. It's just where you align in the middle or where do you align on each side. But to wrap my point around, the problem is Zoe's only been back 3 to 4 months. She hasn't fully developed, and you've put her at the forefront. And the problem is the general audience only know modern Zoe as a whiny little bitch, and that's basically it. She's just whiny. Where is my son? Where is my daughter? Where is it? Where is the fucking cabbage that outlived fucking not Theresa May, the fucking woman prime
Liz
minister,
Truss.
Liz Truss. Where's that cabbage? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't care, Zoe. I don't care. I know you're back, but like, fuck off, please. Um, and I just, yeah, that's my entire crux of that point. Is just, it's not worth it. She hasn't been back, and then you're also using Anthony, which the fans generally don't like either. They don't like Anthony, and like I know, like I jokingly hate Anthony, but I like him in reality. It's the kind of thing where Ashes basically won me over on Anthony because he is so fucking wooden. But
Meanwhile, I actively hate him.
yeah, but like whereas mine is general just jokey hate, Ash generally just hate the character. By the way, the character Anthony, not the person. The person seems lovely. But um, yeah, the problem is you're also using Anthony, but Anthony's only been back since September, and you've basically derailed his entire character and changed how you want it to be, where he's a woman hater. And I say, is that really worth it? Because to me, it's not. To me, you're just fumbling the bag because you're basically going, hey, do you remember this cool thing we did 20 years ago? We're doing it again, but it's like, yeah, cool, I guess, but not really. Can we do something else? And that's just how I feel. And I'm sorry for my rant, but I just don't really get how I'm supposed to react to this because
Yeah.
they try and justify in the end of yesterday's episode, yesterday being the 25th, because it's being recorded at 1 o'clock on the 26th. We have not seen today's episode, but in the finale of yesterday's episode, we see that like Zoe is like you're trying. He's basically trying to get us to feel for Zoe. It's like, I know I can't be a good mom. I can't raise you. I know that. I know I didn't tell you to stop shitting in the toilet. Who took a shit in that toilet? Because it was fucking one of you. I know I couldn't do that to you or anything like that. But I can't be the mother now because I might have killed a man. And you're supposed to feel for it. By the end of the day, I'm like, I don't feel sorry for you. I don't. I don't feel sorry. You ruined your own life. I can't feel sorry. It's like when your friend falls for a clearly crypto scam, and you go, oh, okay, okay. Oh, so you signed up for Dogecoin? Okay, was it a crypto scam? Yes. Okay, what it was? Okay, yeah. Your own fault, man. You fell for the crypto scam. Like you, like
I think
I
even just to kind of echo this in a way, if you take a look, if you look at like Christmases from Christmas past, you can take them, you can think of the moment that defines the episode. And what are the big revelations from this episode? Yes, like they ruined Max finding out that Annie was his because they did it yesterday. They ruined finding out who the stalker was because they did it. Yeah, they did it on the 24th rather. So the big revelation is Anthony Truman possibly dying. Who the fuck cares? Who genuinely cares about that character? About his impact? He's a nothing character who's never amounted to anything they've ever wanted him to do. Yeah, sure, yeah, the famous relationship with both Kat and Zoe. Yeah, that was kind of funny, lol. But like fundamentally, he's a nothing character. Or you go, boom, now Zoe now knows who her kid is. But if you have to do so much legwork to make it feel substantial because there's been so much legwork throughout the scenes building up to this that is supposed to make you feel for it, but you don't care for it because Zoe's not developed enough as a character. Jasmine's not developed enough as a character, and we don't know how to feel about Jasmine because she spent 3 months fucking Cindy up. We don't care about Chrissy as a character because she's not been on our screens for 20 years, other than that 1 week last year. And last year we saw the revelation of her actually moving forward with her life, but now she's back to where she was 20 years ago. And Sam, who, yeah, sure, she has cancer now, and we feel slightly more bad for her, but she still started off her return by stealing money from fucking a man with dementia. So these are your main cat, and Cat's fucking there for some reason. I know there's a lot of swearing, do apologize, but like these are your revelations. But they're not a big deal if people don't care, and people don't care. You can't you can't force someone to care. You can try, but if it doesn't happen, you're hinging it on people giving a shit, but they don't. So that's on you, essentially.
Yeah, and I feel like the problem with this episode is they want you to feel bad for Zoe, but and it's on the same comparison. But it's like with Ravi in a sense, where they want you to feel bad for Ravi, but it's like, no, I don't feel bad for Ravi because he did manipulate a man who is severely autistic. I think that's the term I can use correctly. That might be a bit wrong.
I'd just say vulnerable person.
But vulnerable person. Okay, sorry for my wording. I don't really know how to say it. I am sorry in advance if I did upset you. I'm sorry. But like, did manipulate a vulnerable man, and the problem I have is they're going, oh, but you feel sorry for Ravi. I don't. I don't. He's a dick. He did that. He knew that would have fucked Kojo up, and he still did it. Just like, how am I supposed to feel bad that Anthony is dead when Anthony spent the last fucking month and a half going, you bitch, you bitch, you bitch. Oh, I want to see my kids, you bitch. I want to see my
Woman
kids.
hating, has a restraining order on his ex-wife.
Like, like
Like,
he has a
and that's that. You can say that for so many of these characters. That's the risk you run by making these characters get involved with these darker storylines, right? by by getting Ravi, a formerly fan favorite character who is a bit of an anti-hero but wasn't inherently bad, suddenly he's like involved in a cuckooing operation where he, you know, takes advantage of a vulnerable man and a fan favorite. Therefore, if you do that storyline, you run the risk of making him very unlikable. So if you do what you want to be this sort of redemption arc, I'm sorry it falls flat because we've seen you manipulate, groom, and abuse vulnerable people. And that's the same with Anthony. We don't care that he's dead because he was an asshole who hated women. So that's not really a big revelation. And even then, so it's mostly just the fact that they don't even address if he is actually dead or not in the episode.
yeah,
So they
and
leave it ambiguous.
and
So
for
therefore, Christmas is supposed to be about the big revelations, but we don't fucking get the revelation in this episode.
and supposedly that the body has been moved, or he got up because apparently when Zoe was going down the Queen Vic stairs, she didn't step over the body. So yeah, who knows? Not really. Um, but yeah, I know this has been nearly an hour long. Honestly, can I make it to an hour? But I really enjoyed this look through of Christmas 2025. Sorry for my slurring of words. That's the correct term. But the problem, like the crux of this, that I want to just say, if you only watch the last minute, is really how do you want us to feel? Because you're making these characters bad, but then you're trying to rectify them and make them justifiable. Like, am I supposed to feel bad that Anthony's dead when I've been told for the past 2 months he hates his wife and has a restraining order? Well, she has a restraining order against him. I'm supposed to feel bad for him, but now he's dead because he couldn't see his kids, and Zoe has basically by accident whacked him against the wall and knocked him out, with this potentially giving him brain damage and killed him. And I'm supposed to feel bad for him. Then I'm also supposed to feel bad for Zoe, who had a man nearly just attack her, but also she did hit him and it knocked
I
him
mean,
out.
this is Zoe's second near kill of a man this year.
Yeah.
By the way,
And it,
obviously Anthony is dead, and she hit the guy who thought had information about her son. Obviously, that one was self defense, but both were self defense. But they're still framing her as like a sympathetic character. But you know,
so yeah, it's just like, and then you're like, Jasmine, don't you feel bad for Jasmine? No, because she spent
she
the past.
literally tried to kill Cindy, and we
Yeah,
don't know why she tried to do that, but she did, and it doesn't change it. So why did she try to kill Cindy? I'm not gonna feel bad for Jasmine. because one we're supposed to, right? Because oh, she just wanted to find a mum, and all this bad stuff's happened around her. So now she's being deprived of finding out who like finding of getting to know her. Oh, hello, camera. Getting to know her mum. So, but she also pushed Cindy down the stairs. So, yeah, like I think there's just a core misunderstanding right now. I think that the direction's leaning more towards tragedy and trauma rather than actually making characters happy. And you just think that if you make a character tragic, people will sympathize with a character. But there are layers, right? There are simple layers. I even take the angle, right? I brought up the comparison in where Ronnie finally understood who Danielle was after they were both basically near missing each other the entire time. So when this happens, they spent months building up to the fact that Danielle's there. She was initially introduced as like a love interest to someone, but turns out she was Ronnie's kid. And Ronnie, tragic character in her own right, constantly never really got her way and it always went bad for her. So with that, they then do all these near misses where she keeps trying to make contact but fails. And in the end, when then Ronnie finally realizes that Danielle is her kid, it's too late, and they have a moment where they see each other, and then she gets run down. That is trauma. That's tragedy. But that's tragedy built up with a compelling character that actually kind of justified their position. So that does make Ronnie a tragic character. And some would say that was perhaps the start of where it went wrong for the character. But in that moment, it's one of them. It's a very iconic moment, and it really kind of rung true for a lot of people. This you don't really extend the same thing because you're trying to ramp up the tragedy of, oh no, but Zoe didn't mean to kill Anthony, and now she's going to be questioned by the police and she's turned herself in. But we don't feel bad for Zoe because it, it's just kind of, I don't know, she's just not very likable. That's the difference. You can't just force tragedy and expect people to get on with it. Tragedy has to be earned. You can't just make something tragic and people will love it. It has to be tragic in nature. You can't just slap a label on it and say, "Oh yeah, it's really sad this." No.
And yeah, that's the end of the video, I would say. Um, I don't know how much more we could say without repeating myself again, but that is the end of the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this hour-long review slash discussion piece. And if you enjoy it so much, you want to see more of it, tell us down below. We can do on was the 40th anniversary worth it, and do one like on was my flashback episode worth it was. But yeah, just let us know.
Also, fundamentally, the biggest issue of this Christmas is the fact that the Nigel episode was so fucking good that anything in comparison to it just failed.
Yep.
Um, it's the Nigel flashback episode was so fantastic that that everything else pales in comparison to it. And I get why you weren't going to make that a Christmas episode because it did feel a little bit too kind of it's a bit rogue for a Christmas episode, but it was the best episode of the entire era so far, and therefore it just everything else in comparison, like, it shows that they can do it, but they just were really misguided into what they thought the audience would love. I think that's the biggest problem. Like, the temperature check was way off, and they didn't adjust it, and therefore it led to everyone just being just pretty pissed off, honestly.
Yeah, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Bye bye.